Hello, podcast listeners. This is your host with the most. You want to talk about underpants? Good news. We've got you covered in today's episode of JJ Meets World. Sit back, relax. We're even going to talk on some of our favorite foods, getting better, and what would make your workplace a better place to be. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. JJ Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. JJ has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirled as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called JJ Meets World.
I'm really excited for a couple of VHS tapes I have coming in the mail, because I think I had told you I'd gone on a little shopping spree to treat myself with some extra money I had laying around, and so those
maybe went a little above what your budget should have been.
Oh, for sure. But then that just gives me a goal for balancing it out. It just means I've got a whole bunch of stuff I got to sell. So I think if I can sell some of that, that'll balance it back out, but that's okay. How is your VHS life going?
Pretty good. I'm sorry, I'm eating an apple right now. Pretty good. My organizing at the Arc has become nothing less than an art.
I love seeing it. I love every time I go there and seeing how it's progressed, because I go there at least once a week, sometimes twice a week.
Mm-hmm. It really bothers me how there are some people, though, who just like don't put it back where they found it or mishmash it. And I'm like, hey, listen, I understand if you grabbed a tape and you don't want to put it, like if you don't want to get it, so then put it back where you found it. But that's putting a sister act next to an Air Force One doesn't make any sense at all.
I think I listen, I don't want to invalidate your frustrations. Your emotions are valid, JJ. Mm-hmm. But since you have sort of taken on the role of groundskeeper for this particular garden of VHS tapes, when you go there, there's going to be some pruning every once in a while. You've done the major amount of like planting and organizing, and now it's like the trimming and the pruning and the little tweaks here and there that will come through nature and entropy.
I considered the pruning process to be when they put out fresh tapes, and they clearly are not using the system at all when they just put out, they're like, oh, well, we got room for 20 tapes. Someone, Tony, go grab 20 tapes. And so that's when I'm like, oh, they've got a terms of endearment, or I know that they've got one more clear and present danger. Here's the thing. I know their inventory better than they do at this point.
Oh, yeah.
My next step is I plan on writing reviews that I can tape underneath like sections of like where they've got a lot of like, let's say, Hope floats, and I'll tape a little review there, and I'll bet you they move more VHS because of that.
JJ, I am so conflicted about the light you are about to shine on VHS collecting locally, because with your platform, through KFGO and being a well-known local celebrity, I mean,
I talked about it for an hour yesterday at the barbecue championships.
It's only a matter of time before there's going to be an article about you and VHS collecting. And I'm conflicted because on the one hand, hey, I love that my buddy is on board with this. And maybe through you, I will find new VHS acquisition opportunities that I didn't have before. But at the same time, the amount of light that you may end up shining in all of the fishing holes, maybe there'll be like a run, like maybe suddenly it'll become too popular, and then I just won't be able to find anything anymore. So I don't know. I'm conflicted, but you know what? I think you just let the universe unfold and see what happens from there.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it is a careful tango that I am dancing right now, because I don't want people to all of a sudden start listing, like to go like, hey, this guy's really into VHS. I should send him a message and be like, $2 a tape. Right. And be like, I know what I've got. And be like, listen, you are going to have to get rid of these once your parents die and you have got to clean out their basement. So don't tell me that you know what I'm supposed to be doing with all these tapes. That is here's an example. Paradox Comics and Cards is a local like Dungeons and Dragons comic book shop. Okay. And they in August had a nerdy garage sale where people came and they put out their Funko Pops and their lunch boxes and all of this stuff that evolves, in the fandom collectors nerd world. Well, you go there and they're like, okay, it's the 3.5 edition of Dungeons and Dragons, the Player's Handbook, which has been out now for 20 years. And they're like $52 for it. When in all actuality, it's probably worth that if you were a standalone store and you found someone who wanted to grab that as a collector. But you're telling me you want to get rid of it. Put it $15 and I'll pay you $15 for it. It's a little, it's a little harder to find out in the wild, but still just give me what you should be giving me.
Yeah, I take those.
Let me have it.
Those moments when you're out in the wild, right? You're shopping in real life in meat space. You're looking around where actual people are selling these things, and you find something. I'd love to have that, and you realize in the moment you'd love to have it, and then you see that they are way overpricing it, or just they're pricing it at an amount that you definitely don't want to pay right there, and so they're kind of banking on the you wanting it overriding your sense of, hey, that's too expensive. Right. And you buying it right there, or maybe even trying to haggle with them a little bit. So what I try to do in those moments is go, no, what this moment is me telling myself, hey, I like that thing. So I'm going to put it on my list of things I am in search of. And then it becomes a quest and I can find out for sure how much does it go for? How many of it are there? What's the likelihood of finding it somewhere? It's more than likely not the only one on planet Earth. And then you can almost always find it for, I bet, 30% of the listed price that you find out in those marketplaces.
I think that we're talking about VHS tapes for the most part here, but if you swapped the word VHS for baby clothes,
anything,
antique furniture, right?
Any commodity.
Right. Anything you'd find at a garage sale. There are people who want to go out there. Years ago, I was at an auction for my wife's grandmother. They were auctioning off her house and all the goods inside of it because she had moved to an assisted living facility and passed away there. So the first thing they had to do was, okay, we got to go through the entire house. And the nice thing was they hired an auction company who came in and said, listen, we will tell you the things that are attention grabbing, because the worst thing you can do is have nobody at an auction and everything goes for, because let me take a step back. When you hire an auction company, they are going to auction off the stuff you have regardless of how much you get for it. So an example is this. You've got an antique wooden hutch that to the right buyer could be worth $1,000 because it's part of a particular collection and it's blah, 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 blah. But you're going to put it up for auction. So they might start the bidding at $200. But if no one values it at $200, they'll be like, all right, $100. And the idea is that maybe someone's waiting for you to start lower so they can get a better price. So then they bid at $100. Nobody else bids, and this item goes for $100. Or this item gets included with what they have at the end of the auction, which is these are the items nobody bid on in a giant pile, and you get them all at once. That's where things like garden hoses, miscellaneous like paint, all this stuff, and they start that bid at like 25 cents. So this is a heads up to any homeowners out there. If you decide that let's say you're buying a house for the first time, and you've got to get the things like hoses and a rake, and you need, a jacket for your water heater, all this kind of stuff. The best time to do that would be during an auction when you can go and buy a hose for 10 cents along with 20 other pieces of garden tools. And if the worst case scenario is you bring it over and you donate it to a place like Restore, boom, You're good to go. You still got you got a hose for 25 cents rather than spending $40 brand new. And let me tell you something, except for rare occasions, a hose is just as good today as they were in the 1970s. A hose is a hose is a hose.
The technology, as far as I'm aware, hasn't changed too much. Maybe in the materials, but.
And the old-fashioned rubber hoses might be a little sturdier than they are today.
Exactly. The material changes might not be for like progress of the product, but for like, we can make them cheaper this way.
So Tucker, I wanted to talk about underpants a little bit today. Will you come along with me on this journey?
I am always down for an underpants discussion.
For an undie talk? Okay, so first and foremost, what type of undergarment do you choose to wear?
I'm boxer briefs.
Yep. Have you always been boxer briefs?
No. I mean, and that was a journey that I had to go on. And that's one of those things where, think about like if you could go back to you when you're, 15, like time travel back, kind of like how the Flash times travel back to Batman a little bit in like Justice League, just to say like a message. What would you say to you? I think I would say boxer briefs. Boxer briefs. That's it. That's all you need. Because I started with briefs, and then when I got my first job working at Northport Hornbachers, I would like chafe all the time from like walking around and getting sweaty. And so then I thought, well, maybe I should switch to boxers. And so I switched to boxers, and it was worse. Like it would be chafing and everything was everywhere. And I just thought, man, it sure sucks to be alive. Like that's what I thought. I thought those were my options. I thought, yep, this sucks. There's no middle ground that takes the best of both worlds. But then enter the boxer brief. And I can't remember how old I was when I even realized, hey, you should try that thing. But when I went to boxer briefs, all my troubles went away. And all that discomfort was gone. And so I just buy packages of them off of Amazon, just black ones. And then, when they wear out, throw them away, order some new ones. But I love them. I love boxer briefs. I will never go back to.
What do you constitute as wearing out?
Say it again?
What do you constitute as wearing out?
Wearing out, like getting holes in the crotch.
Okay, so that's the moment you're like, these are worn out.
Yeah, that would be one example of it. I think, sometimes if the elastic band is all messed up or there's too many, it's pilling too much, so it's uncomfortable. Yep. So I mean, it could be any number of things, but I just kind of go, you know what? I think I would rather wear a more comfortable pair than this pair, or a more protective pair than this pair, and I move on from there. But I don't I don't repurpose them. I throw them away. Like, I don't understand wanting to let's turn this into a rag now. I don't get that.
It's funny because at one point I had a pair of Lucky underpants. I always consider them these are the ones that bring me general luck. And I when the crotch was worn away to the point of where they were crotchless.
Yeah.
I wanted
it's basically
to turn them,
a skirt at that point.
Pretty much, right? I wanted to turn them into like a pillow or put them on a t-shirt quilt type thing. Uh-huh. And Jill goes, I am not going to have a pillow made out of your old underpants. And I hadn't thought about it like that, but she's right. And so, okay, so I have a different journey. I was always a boxer guy. And I feel like this. Our mothers are the ones who choose what path we go down because they're the ones buying the underwear to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, whatever was in my mom's mind as the superior underpant becomes the underpant you at least start your journey with. So I was boxing.
Well, but I at the same time, before you go much further than that, JJ, I don't think we want to let our dads off the hook because.
No, but that's the thing. They're influenced by I bet you my dad was a boxer guy, so that's why my mom was like, "Oh, boxers."
Yeah, exactly. So if your mom was the one who actually bought the clothes, went and picked it out for you, they probably just did what they saw your dad doing. Oh, this is what he wears, so this is what you're gonna wear.
Exactly, right. In the same way, I mean, it's very, very.
Which is amazing that I didn't end up just wearing banana thongs all the time.
I mean, there's some truth there too, right? I'd love to see some of your younger swim trunks that you had. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you if my dad is a boxer or brief guy, but I imagine he's probably boxers. But I only switched to boxer briefs probably 6 years ago. And I just don't understand. I don't understand why there's somebody out there who says, nope, it's briefs. It's only briefs. And why there's someone out there who's like, nope, it's only boxers. The boxer brief is the perfect combination of two worlds. The scientists
it's the peanut butter
did
and chocolate.
It is. It works on so many levels. That being said, recently my wife bought me underpants, and she and I'm going to say this, she means well. She means well. But there's a designer that she likes that she's been buying some like a purse from, and I think like a coat. And he also designs men's boxer briefs, but they are pretty much just. Have you ever had something described as a boxer brief, but you're like, no, this is 90% brief and maybe 10% boxer?
Oh no, I mean,
it's a little tighter.
I've had the opposite where it's
where it's more
loose.
Boxer and less brief.
Yeah.
See, okay, there's no standard. Why doesn't the U.S. government make a standard for what a boxer brief should be?
We need like an atomic agency of international scientists to get together and decide what constitutes. But there's probably got to be, allowances made from country to country for the average BMI of like the individual.
I mean, we're on the same wavelength. Anyway, so she buys these things and they arrive. And I know instantly that they are not going to be my what I like because of the size of the packaging. Okay. So the package itself is probably, I'm going to say, the size of a VHS cassette. And it contains 12 pairs.
Oh, that's 12?
12. And
so are these things made of toilet paper?
Right, exactly. Like how, and even if you rolled them and got them super tiny, like I was worried. And so I tried one pair on, and she bought size large because that's what I normally wear when I wear my boxer briefs. Because as we know, I'm shaped like a lollipop. I'm thin on the bottom and rotund on the top. And I wear them right at where like my belt line is, which is, like I'm down to a 36 waist on that.
Oh, Water Tower Gordon over there.
Bingo. Right. Yes. I'm a reverse grimace. So I put one on and instantly I feel so constricted. I feel like I am wearing like briefs that are meant for a little boy. They're so tiny. And
so it's like your baby cream costume.
Right. I was going to say, you've seen me get into small child clothing for movies that we've done together.
Now, and this is definitely not Jill giving you a message like, I'd like to see you in these some night.
I know. I think she was like, hey, I really like this designer. They've got great reviews. And like, why don't you wear? And like, given they were, you buy plain black. I like a little bit of character inside mine. In fact, my current favorite underpants, have this design, this little tiny design all over it of an old timey boxer with like a big old mustache, and he's raising his hands where they're like all the way up to the top of his head, like Kingsbury style. Mm-hmm. And so those are my favorite, which is ironic because they're not boxers, they're boxer briefs. So like maybe he should have been holding a briefcase. See, I think I should get into the design world of underwear too, because I've got ideas, a lot of them. So I put one on. I wear it for about an hour before I have to come home from work and take it off because I'm like, nope, this is too constricting.
Real quick and change my underwear.
Yeah, I'm like, and I was like, hey guys, I gotta go home and change my undies real quick, but not for the reason you think. It's because they're too tight.
Now that I think about it, that this is kind of a good idea. I've never run into this situation before, but like at work, I have kind of like I keep a deodorant stick at work, some breath mints, some Kleenex, things like, hey, I might need this. Like I might get here in a rush one morning and forget to do something or whatever, or have a really sweaty day and then I need to freshen up before I go to a meeting or whatever. I even have like a company hoodie that's there that I can throw on if I forget hey, I'm supposed to be meeting with a client today and I'm wearing this like X-Men t-shirt or something,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I should have just a reserve pair of underpants just in case something happens where I think I'm about to fart and I like shart and I'm at
Yeah,
work.
you gamble and you lose.
Yeah, you gamble and you lose. And like, well, you know, I could either try to find a way to like leave quick, but it takes 15 minutes for me to get home. So that's a 30-minute at least trip for me to go change my underwear at home. Maybe I should have one at the office. But then I have to have a plan for what to do with the soiled ones
Oh,
in that
I
month.
already have the answer for you, Tucker,
What is
because
it?
you are following what essentially a kindergartner does. Because when a kid goes to school in kindergarten, when they're still like, the potty is still something that can happen, it'll be an issue. There can still be accidents. One of the things you do is you bring a clean pair of underwear and a clean pair of pants for every child at the beginning of the year, and you put them in a Ziploc bag.
That's right.
And then that sits in their cubby for emergencies. So if you had this set up, you would have then a sealable bag to put whatever has. Also, I also think like this, just abandon. Unless you really absolutely need to take those things with you, just let them go. In fact, I was at a truck stop years ago where someone had clearly had like, must have been just eating beef jerky and Coca-Cola all day long, and they had a full-on accident.
Well, and that makes that makes sense. But at the same time, if I'm at work, I'm like, I don't want to leave really smelly used underwear in any of the trashes here. Although
do you have a dumpster outside your work?
You know what? There is a dumpster bin out back, so that's where I would go. I would just toss them. I would.
Yeah, I mean,
for me, I was thinking like I can't leave them anywhere in a garbage bag here because they'll smell. People will like it'll be noticeable. But yeah, if I went to the dumpster, they'd see me on security camera, but I could just say, "Oh yeah, I had extra garbage I had to get rid of," and I would just do that.
You could wrap them in old documents if you needed to, just to make it look like you're doing that. You could even take your entire garbage can with you as part of the thing. I think we become sort of like international spies in the way that we are able to dump garbage without people knowing what the contents of those garbages are. And most of the time, it's completely innocent, but sometimes there's a purpose.
So now that we're both, I think, very solid on what our, fecal pants strategy would be if we're at work. You know that episode of Parks and Rec when Tammy 1 has arrived and Ron finds out, so he decides he's going to go on the lam. Yeah,
he's got a go bag with him.
He's got a go bag that was like in the ceiling of his office, and then, or no, it was in a duct that he like has a whole system of getting in the ceiling of his office. He lets her know he's got like a whole thing of ground chuck that she should throw away. And he's got all this other stuff, his survival gear, right? He's got it all at the office. And that's kind of what I'm talking about is like, what is my survival gear at the office? What's in my cubby at the office? And so JJ, I'm curious about you because you're, part of the management leadership at KFGO. You've been there for a while. You've been able to grow accustomed to being at KFGO, like you're wearing a pair of shoes, right? So what do you have for your survival gear at your office?
That's a great question. And I'm very lucky because where my office is located at KFGO is away from all the other offices in the building. So back in the day, our building used to be just where the studios are and offices were kind of intermixed everywhere. And my office used to be where the break room was. Then they added an entire wing onto the building. So like if you were to approach the building, the part that has 2 stories is all brand new. And so when they did that, they moved everyone else's office out of there, but they still had this break room that they didn't need anymore because they built a new break room. And so they're like, what are they going to do with this space? Oh, well, we'll make this a double office. So you walk into my office and it's a huge room. And then you can walk through my office to get to Amy Eiler's office, which is doored off on its own. So it's a massive amount of space. I mean, if you think about like someone having a break room that turns into an office, like it's a huge amount of space. And it doesn't look like a break room anymore. They put carpet and all that kind of stuff. But lots of windows. I love it. It's a great office. But because it was an old break room, Inside my office, there is also a giant space behind my desk that was a utility closet. I'm assuming to serve the break room. So there's a breaker panel, and then there is a giant water heater in there and stuff like that. But it's a full closet space. And so I am the only person in the building who has a closet in their office, which allows me to have more comfort than most people. So, for example, should I think to myself, oh, I should take some cough syrup, but I don't, and I cough too hard, and then, I accidentally have an accident, and rather than an on purpose, I've got a private place where I can go and I can deal with that.
Oh man, I didn't mean to shit my pants like I did the last time.
Bingo, right? Like, I mean, sometimes you're like, okay, I'm going to do that. It'd be like, oh, I should have been more cautious here.
Yeah.
But in this case, I wasn't being cautious and I'm not going to call that an on purpose, but it pretty much is an on purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
you
saying?
Can also, like Superman in the original TV show, you've got a place to go and change real quick.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, no one will be the wiser. And it's behind my desk, so there's no reason other than if someone has to come and flip a breaker, which is rare, that anyone would come down there. So in that room, I have got a full size toolbox with everything. Like when I switched my power tools up to a new battery style, I had impact drills and a circular saw, and I had all this stuff. So now I've got a full toolbox for anything I could ever need to do there, including a couple pairs of work gloves. I have got a full set of tie down straps for if you were hauling something and you needed to ratchet strap it down. That's where I keep my soda. And so right now, there was a deal where it was like 3 12-packs for $10. And so I loaded up on soda.
Oh, nice.
And so I've got that in there. I also have 2 giant tubs, and I'm talking about like they're tubs of cheese balls. Because those are also on sale. So I was like, well, I might as well get 2. And that way because I like to be a host. You know that. When people come over, I like to be a host.
I don't think that's what those are for.
And so, I mean, I enjoy them as well. But this way, I think I can put out a buffet for people to enjoy while they're sitting there, and I'm saying, let's take a look at the most recent figures on your show.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think what you do is you're standing like in a different part of the building in a meeting with like everyone, and it's really depressing, and you really hate what you're hearing, and you're kind of angry. And then you're like, I need 5 minutes in the closet with those cheese balls. And so you just go and you stand in your closet with the cheese balls and you diffuse the tension before you move on with your day. I think that's what those are for.
You're putting a lot of thought into that. That is,
I'm on point.
I'm not going to tell you you're wrong because I have eaten cheese balls in there. But that certainly wasn't the intent. I mean, intent is everything.
If I see a tub of cheese balls in someone's closet, I 100% infer this person stands right here. They eat these standing right here because that's what I would do.
Okay. I mean, again, I'm not going to tell you you're not wrong because there is some truth to it, but it might not be the full truth to it. Also, side note, that goes for not just the cheese balls, but literally every food stuff that I have in there. It goes for the candy. It goes for everything. I have eaten some of it inside of the closet. In fact, we might as well just call that closet a pantry at this point. I've established a private work pantry at KFGO. Okay, that's an I mean, it took me a while to come along to this, but now I'm fully on and I'm there.
You should curate one shelf of food that's just for your feelings. This is like JJ's feelings food. No one touch this.
I also have a pan like to cook with.
You guys have an oven there?
We don't.
Oh,
but there have been times where like we've got a grill out back.
Oh, okay.
And so I just in case I ever need like a pan, because we do not have a pan at the studio, so there's nothing to cook with.
That is definitely something I would never think to keep there.
Right, and I'm like, what if I had to have a pancake? What if I
JJ,
had to have it?
what if you guys have like the sudden need for an inflatable swimming pool? You should have one of those there too.
No, we have a kid pool in our shed out back.
Oh, it's a good
at
thing you've got
work.
that covered. Okay, good.
Yeah. And several hoses with different types of nozzles. So if I want to have a pool party, that is something I can also do at work. I'm trying to think of what else I have in there that would be considered my part of my survival pack. Oh, I have a whole drawer that's dedicated to over-the-counter medications.
Necessary.
I also have I also have a good collection of floss, dental floss.
Also smart.
And that came in handy. I had a coworker who was just recently saying like, "Oh gosh, I've got this thing stuck in my teeth." And I said, "Well, I got dental floss." And she goes, "You do?" And I said, "Heck yeah, I do." And so she came over and got some dental floss. She chose a floss pick rather than taking some off of the spool.
It wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea to keep anything that you might pack in a travel bag, like travel-sized versions of things, at the office. So like a little travel-sized toothpaste. It's teeny tiny, but oh man, I just ate a bunch of Mexican food and now I have to go meet the celebrity I'm going to interview. Like I really should get all the spinach out of my teeth and get all that stuff. That could be handy as well. Quick 30 seconds in the bathroom. You're good.
I mean, I like that idea. I think that's
fresh.
a swell
You got to
idea.
get fresh,
So I do keep cologne and deodorant. I do keep a couple pieces of specific work clothing because you never know, right? And both casual, warm, and stuff that just this is fancy enough to be. I could meet with someone and not feel bad about it, right? Like I could meet with someone and they wouldn't be like, "What an unprofessional dingle hopper." I've got on my desk right now a big bag of dried blueberries. A lot of this has to do with eating. I mean, I'm really taking stock in this. Oh, I also have a small library in there of stuff that I find interesting. So example, I've got Eric Hatch's book. I've got a couple books on barbecuing if I'm coming up with a menu for that night. A couple things on being a better DJ, some leadership pieces. So I got a couple little things out there that are worthwhile.
Do you think your reading goes up in the wintertime?
Oh, 100%. In fact, starting in the fall, now that it's a little bit cozier in temperatures, that's all I want to do is sit in my reading nook and
it feels
read.
like it just suddenly got cold.
It did. Well, because it did.
I mean, like one day, it's like, oh, it's now cold all the time. As of today, like someone hit the switch and we've transitioned.
We literally went from 90 degrees to 42 degrees.
Have you been working on your winter survival strategy?
Yeah, you mean putting on weight? I've been doing that. I've been working on that all summer long.
No, I'm just thinking in terms of because it goes without saying that winter sucks. It doesn't feel good. It can be a real pain in the ass. But if you plan,
here's what I have been doing is Jill and I made a plan so that when we put our patio and deck away for the winter, right? We will be in the best place possible to be able to navigate our backyard without bumping into stuff. We're going to take down all of our plant growth. So we'll literally chop down our entire garden and bring all that stuff in and get it taken into the garden where you can drop the place that the city of Fargo establishes where you can drop off old plants.
Sure.
And stuff like that. So that when the winter comes, we are good to go for having, we can snow blow anywhere without worrying about, is there a big stick I'm going to suck up into this? Or where's the brick that we use to keep the gate open? It takes a lot of work. And undoing it, you get all summer long to undo it, but you've got to put it all back right away. And so it just bugs me. I also, somebody described summer to me by not calling it summer, but calling it soft butter season. And I want to really lean into that forever. Soft butter season. Because I do think that we have now moved over to a new season and it's crock pot season.
Oh yeah. Oh, and you know what? I've got a crock pot now for this crock pot. Oh my God. Thank you for saying that. I'm going to add that to my winter game plan
Right?
where like get up, I got to get up at 6:15 for work, and so start the crock pot then, and then when I get home from work, I've got this delicious crock pot meal. It'll feed me for a couple of days.
What is your routine when it comes to lunch at work? What are you bringing for lunch at work?
Oh, it really right now there's not a good routine yet in place. So if I'm bringing stuff from home, it really is just, hey, what do I have here that's kind of grabbable right now? So if it's leftovers, sometimes I'll just make myself like a couple PB&Js with some chips or something.
Okay.
And if I'm out there and I just go get fast food, I'm usually doing the Subway that's nearby there because I can get a light lunch so I don't feel like really bloated and heavy from it. Because I found like if I eat a massive lunch, it just sort of kills my productivity for the rest of the day. Just can't get anything done.
The digesting is
Yeah. And I'm typically not eating breakfast. And so really like my big meal is when I get home and I'm relaxing kind of a thing.
Can
What do
I
you do?
tell you something that I think would change your life, but it might make you the weird guy at the office?
I'm close to already being the weird guy at the office, so that's okay.
Let's cement that then. You can get a small desk-sized crock pot.
Uh-huh.
And so you could assemble everything before you leave for work, put it in a bag, get to work, plug it in at your desk, and then when it comes time to eat, you have a delicious warm meal that has been stewing and bubbling for hours.
That's a good idea. I was considering doing something similar for like having my own coffee maker at the office.
Okay.
And just in my office, right? And so like I'm not even having to go that much to the kitchen space where the shared coffee maker is with the shit coffee that they make. Like right now what I do is I make a pot here and then I pour as much as I can into my big canteen and take that with me. What if I just had it waiting for me there at the office just with the timer set?
I mean, I think that's a great idea.
Right? Because then I'm not worrying about setting it up here overnight. And then my coffee maker here is just for weekends.
I mean, I think having something a little more personalized is great. The idea is that like work provides you with this one so that everyone doesn't have to do that, right? But some people just don't like that.
I'm choosing to. It's like, oh, this is just for me because I have to spend so much time here. I want to be as comfortable here as I can be, right?
I agree.
Within the rules of professional decorum.
Let's say that you were the boss, okay? Tell me a couple of things that you would do to make the life of your employees a little better at your place of business. Like and not related directly to okay, well, I would, change the workflow and blah, blah, blah. Tell me about some of the amenities that you would add that you think would be
more
worthwhile.
like the perks, like the, hey, let's make this. So we're not, we're not talking like, oh, well, I'd look at these insurance carriers or things like that.
Right. So for example, I would immediately add a soda fountain machine and it would have 4 nozzles. One of them would be changed out every time we change out, like every time the Diet Coke man comes.
Well, I think this is kind of in between the two, and it would cost a lot of money, but I would give everyone at the office who is just in an open cubicle, I'd give them an actual office so they could have privacy.
Okay. Now, let me tell you, does that mean that you have to move your office to a new location, or are you just extending those cubicle walls straight up?
I think there's multiple ways to do it. So we wouldn't move out of the building. There's a couple of rooms that aren't being used yet that have kind of like generic uses. And then there's another company that shares part of the building. So I think we'd kick them out and then we'd take over the rest of the building. But that would just be, and that's only just because I really love that. Having the ability to go and kind of go, hey, even if this room is really small, which mine is, that's fine. I don't care. But it's mine, right? Like I get to go in here and this is like my little space. And it gives me that distance that I need to be able to really hyper focus on projects, which is nice. Otherwise, I think I would put like a multi-arcade cabinet in one of the rooms, so you could pull up
Nice.
any old arcade game and have up to maybe 4 players play it or something, you know, and any different system. I think that would be a ton of fun to have. What else? What else would be cool? Meatball bar, like at your wedding.
Yeah.
Every day.
Okay.
Just every day. Just meatball bar.
Hey, listen. I just so you know, if you're trying to send me cryptic messages about like, hey, for the next time I have like a birthday party, make sure that it has like a meatball bar. Like, I get it. It's written down. I've got it, dude.
How do you feel?
I am so proud that you have entrusted me with being the one who's going to provide you with this meatball buffet.
You know, I know it probably hurts to say, but you are literally knocking on the door of 40 right now.
Yeah, I mean, at the time of this recording, I am 48 hours away from celebrating my 40th birthday.
Got any plans for it?
Yeah, I do. And do you want to hear my boring ass plans for my actual birthday? I am going to. I'm having like a little like mini get together with like my in-laws and like my sister. Tomorrow we're gonna go out to a pizza place and have pizza, and then come back to the house where I'm really proud of this. I'll have hung cafe patio lighting in my backyard, and we can all go like, oh, it looks gorgeous, and then have a piece of cake. I'm having bundt cake also for my birthday this year. Just throwing that one out there. So my plan for my actual birthday is as follows. I'm going to get up and I'm going to eat orange Danish rolls from the Pillsbury can. It's my favorite. It's it's going to be my awesome birthday breakfast. Then I'm going to go to work, and work is being designed. Amy is bringing in some special guests, but it might not turn out like that because the Minnesota Twins are in playoff season and they're doing better than they've done like in 25 years. And so my work has an opportunity to sell our show somewhere, like a bar or something, as a pre-watch party, because at 2:00 with a pregame for the Twins will start. So in an interesting kind of way, we will end up having like our show will be Twins based. But then after we get done with our show and we do a little bit of other work stuff that we have to do, I make my way up to Fargo North, and I'm going to teach the kids improv at Fargo North. And then I'm going to come home, and I'm probably going to have Thai food for dinner.
Nice.
Yeah.
From
excited.
Levo Thai?
No, I think I tried a new Thai place that's out in West Fargo, and it was delicious.
Okay.
And so I think we're gonna try that one again. Although I will tell you this. The Himalayan yak for the Nepalese Indian style food has a great soup. So if I get it to go, I might get Thai food, but then get this paneer soup to come home.
I am always in the mood for Himalayan yak.
I know you are, buddy.
It's never a no for me when it goes to that. Like, I could be like sick with the flu. Like, hey, do you want some Himalayan yak? And I'd be like, blah, blah. Yeah, I do. I just hold on 1 second. Veggie pakora, please. I would do it.
Let me ask you a question. You recently have been under the weather.
Yes.
Tell me about your illness. Let me diagnose.
It's been a head and chest cold. So, I felt it kind of coming on a few days prior, in that it felt like a sinus infection is really what it felt like. Cause I wasn't like sneezing or runny nosed or whatever. It just felt like, yep, there's some kind of, viral attack happening up there. And I don't know what it's going to turn into. Right. And yeah, I just turned into a head and chest cold. And, I took an at-home COVID test that came back negative and stuff. And my understanding is that there's some kind of bug going through town right now. Now, here's the thing. I don't doubt that that's true, because I know a number of people who've gotten sick, but I've always kind of wondered if, like, technically, if that's always true. Like, there's always something going through town and you just happen to be catching this one, versus like, oh no, everyone's kind of fine right now and now a new sickness is coming through. I don't know. It's tough for me to tell.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I think that there is something to the tune of like, like some particular illness that's really going around. And it's probably spread in a very common way where it's both by like touch. So it's a reason
That
why you
makes
should
sense.
wash your hands as well as like through the air. So
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. So, but I mean, it hasn't been too bad. Like, it hasn't been debilitating. I took a day off from work, so I didn't go spread it around. I think the real big issue has been my energy levels have just really dove down. But that could also just be general burnout, just doing too many things at once.
did you consume any media?
During it?
Yeah, like while you were
well-
ill, like did you like fade in and out of something?
No, I wanted to, but some of the LEDs in my TV have burnt out.
Oh no.
I know. So like I have to go get a new TV now.
That's a bummer.
It's a huge
I've got a TV that's right next to me. That is a good TV. It's on a very sturdy stand, or could be mountable that you
Uh-huh.
could have for free. But
Oh.
I will tell you this: it takes a while for it to turn on, but once it's on, it's fine.
Oh,
It's got some kind of weird power issue where like you can hear it go like boop click, boop click, boop boop click, boop boop click, boop click, and then like 2 minutes later it fires up and it's fine.
Huh. Okay, well maybe I'll talk to you offline about it. I'm looking at a couple of different models.
No, you
but
gotta,
I'll,
just tell me right now. Just like, why are we waiting till later? Like, just
you know what?
just tell me you want
Sure,
this
I'll take-
TV and you don't care about the ghost that lives in it.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. You're trying to get rid of your haunted cursed TV that you got saddled with on your wedding night.
I mean, I can't get rid of it because every time I throw it out, it ends up back in the house somehow.
JJ, I've
And
told
the only
you
way
time.
you can do it is to give it to someone else, and then they have to watch a very specific episode of Friends on it, and then the curse transfers.
JJ, I don't know how many times I've had to tell you stop buying used electronics from gypsies and alleyways.
But the pricing is so favorable. It's
Should
so
I-
good.
Do you think I should? Are there? When is it? Black Friday that the amazing savings on electronics will be happening?
Let me tell you my real feeling, because like we are right now in the heat of fall Prime days, which were just invented. Target has created Target Circle Week. I think that there's actually not a bad time to buy a television anymore. And I did a deep dive on Consumer Reports, and the TVs that get highly discounted on Black Friday are usually variant models from the stuff that they usually make and don't have all the bells and whistles of the TVs that are out in like just like on a regular
Sure.
like day, and you can still get amazing deals. For example, I am buying a new television today. And it's going to go in my living room, and I've done the research and I've looked at it, and I'll be going out to Costco to buy this one. And in my gut, because I'm from the upper Midwest, I was like, ooh, should I be waiting for Black Friday? Should I be waiting for Black Friday? And that's when I stumbled upon a series of articles that people wrote about how, like, listen, if you find the TV that's right for you, odds are it's not available on Black Friday with a deal. Like they'll have something else that'll be different. And the difference on it is it's got a different type of conductor inside, or it's thicker in the back because they need to get, rid of a panel from something that didn't sell very well. And I was like, this is blowing my mind, but it makes sense. For the same way, the outlet malls, right? There's really no such thing as an outlet mall because nobody is making that many bad t-shirts at a Gap that they can fill 10,000 Gap outlet malls.
Right.
It's actually specific stuff that Gap has made of a lower quality so that they can sell it in the outlets. It's all a part of a big scam, and we're the ones being scammed, Tucker.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, I mean, it's tough with TVs because there's the brand that's on top of the TV, but then there's the component pieces that are inside of the TV.
Bingo.
And it can be really difficult it is really difficult for most consumers to be able to understand the difference. I rely on I have a couple of YouTube channels that I follow of these guys that really go into like the deep engineering and color science of each TV as it comes out. And so can kind of show you differences and give you recommendations, but you really have to be an engineer to go and figure it out. And so part of it is like, where can I find the same TV but with a different brand on top of it, if that even creates a difference.
I'll also say this: like, I consider myself a pretty decent connoisseur when it comes to the quality and you want something that's going to have blacks that are actually black and dark and not just like a shade of gray because it's using like the an LED system to create it. That being said, at one point, I'm sort of like, listen, this will play Breaking Bad, right? Like, all I need to do is watch and get my kick. I'm also hooking a VHS cassette player up to this widescreen television, so I know that I'm not going to, upgrade this to 4K.
Right.
Just by getting an HDMI adapter. So at one point I think like we get too into the weeds. It's very a white middle class man thing to research, like, oh, it's got to be 240 hertz refresh rate, or it's garbage, and be like, listen, man, you're also not the coach of the Vikings. No matter what you think is not going to be the thing that changes their pitching or throwing or whatever they do for Vikings is football. It just drives me bonkers.
Well, my TV is not just my TV; it's also my computer monitor. Like, I use it all day, every day for a bunch of different things. So I think the end game for me right now is to get a low cost replacement for this very low cost TV. I've been using a TCL Roku TV. I think I bought it for like $300, right? And it's worked great, but I can definitely tell when I say compare it to the monitor of my MacBook. Like, I can't rely on it for certain things like color grading because it's not going to give me sort of the precise thing that I need. So eventually I will probably drop some bank on finding like an amazing TV that's actually really good for not just general purpose usage, but for like the work that I try to do. But in the meantime, yeah, I mean, shit, like a 4K TV for $250 is still light years ahead of what we grew up watching.
Do you know that the first K stands for knowledge?
Oh yeah,
of the 4Ks.
What did the other K stand for?
The second K is for conducting. And they know that starts with a C, but it wouldn't have sounded good with like, I need a 3K 1C TV. And then the other two Ks are also for new, like KN, like you knew that.
Yeah.
And the last K is for Kool-Aid, because people don't realize this, but the Kool-Aid Corporation is the one who developed high def television. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. The description on the back of the VHS cassette for Down Periscope, starring Frasier's Kelsey Grammer, says Kelsey Grammer sails from TV's Frasier to the big screen in the screwball comedy co-starring Lauren Holly and Rip Torn. Both of those people have maybe a total of 5 minutes of screen time.